National anthem is not mandatory in cinema halls anymore. That is the order from the top court, from the apex court in the country. It's the latest on the national anthem controversy that's breaking right here. The Supreme Court has officially said that national anthem is not mandatory in cinema halls anymore. Keep in mind, this means that now it is up to the government to form a set of guidelines in the panel that has been formed, where over the next 6 months' time, the government is set to come out with guidelines on the playing and the singing of the national anthem. The Supreme Court has accepted the government's plea on framing guidelines for the national anthem, and it is now up to the government, the centre, to decide on the rules of the national anthem. But for now, national anthem is not mandatory in the cinema halls anymore. That's the latest and the biggest breaking news to have come from the Supreme Court hearing on the matter, which we have been leading up to all day, ladies and gentlemen. And now it is official. National anthem in cinema halls is not mandatory anymore. In today's hearing on the national anthem controversy, keep in mind, the Attorney General also saying that the government is willing to take the petitioner into the panel, the interministerial committee, and take those views and form the guidelines. The panel will form the guidelines over the next 6 months on the singing and the playing of the national anthem. We have Republic TV's political affairs editor Aishwarya Kapoor joining us on the phone line for more on that. Aishwarya, it's official. Supreme Court has made it clear. National anthem is not mandatory in cinema halls anymore.
Absolutely, Krishna. Supreme Court makes playing of national anthem optional in cinema halls prior to start of the screening of a film. Supreme Court interim order making it mandatory of screening of national anthem prior to a film show, and mandatory standing had led to many instances of vigilante patriotism. Keeping this in mind, we are being told, and then the affidavit which very clearly specified that the government in itself is relooking into its order, into a decision, and now this final call being taken in by the Supreme Court that it's no more mandatory, Krishna. It's optional. In that affidavit, it was very clearly mentioned, that was of the Ministry of Home Affairs, that they are making an interministerial committee in which this very petitioner is also going to be a part. The AG has made it very clear in the court today itself, and now the court also reviewing its interim order and making one thing very clear, that it's optional, it's not mandatory. And as we just stated, Krishna, that there were several cases of violence inside cinema halls. Keeping all of this in mind, government also looking at the larger view, making very clear that a time frame of 6 months have been given in, and in this 6 months, this interministerial committee is going to look into every aspect, and then a final call will be taken in. But till then, the Supreme Court making it clear that it's optional, it's not mandatory, to finish all of that unwanted confusion and then controversies which are being created regarding it, and also looking into the larger sense of the people, Krishna. That's what we are being told, and that's exactly what was mentioned in that affidavit. The government specified that they are also for optional and not mandatory of the national anthem being played prior, in the middle, or at the end at a cinema hall. Krishna.
Republic TV's political affairs editor Aishwarya Kapoor there joining us for that big story that's breaking first here on Republic TV. The Supreme Court making it clear that the national anthem is not mandatory inside cinema halls, vacating the 2016 order. Aishwarya, our political affairs editor, just joined us, but now we have Abhishek Kapoor, our executive editor, joining us as well for this big story that we're tracking, the Supreme Court's latest on the national anthem controversy. Now it's all up to the central government, Abhishek, that panel will need to decide and come up with guidelines over the next 6 months. But for now, if not anything, there is more clarity than before.
Well, Krishna, make no mistake, it seems a bureaucratic initiative done at the level of bureaucrats with no oversight from the political establishment, because have it from me that the core constituency of this avowedly nationalist government would have wanted national anthem to be played in cinemas. It's clear that someone has let this happen and let the initiative rest with the bureaucracy. Now, what is going to happen is that in 6 long months, the issue might be buried in cold storage, and it might be seen in a much diluted form by the time it comes in the form of rules, regulations and recommendations of this interministerial committee, given the fact that even the petitioner is going to have his or her say in what the rules would be ultimately. So it's clear that in changing the goalposts, the centre, while pandering to the bureaucratic lobby, might have antagonized its core constituency a bit, it seems, on the face of it. As of now, that is the only thing we can read in between the lines so far as this affidavit is concerned and the change stance of the centre is concerned, Krishna.
Right, Abhishek Kapoor, executive editor, putting that development into perspective. Abhishek, stay with us. I'll come back to you. But for now, we have Nalini Sharma joining us from the Supreme Court. Nalini Sharma who has been keeping a track of this hearing that's been underway in the Apex Court. Nalini, talk to us and give us more details about this Supreme Court order, which essentially vacates its own November 2016 order.
Yes, Krishna. In fact, the Supreme Court has today modified the November 30th, 2016 order. They have made it not mandatory for the cinema halls to actually play the national anthem before any movie. They've gone ahead and made it optional for the cinema halls. They've not done away with the order altogether. They have modified it. They have clearly stated that the word shall now be changed to the word may, and the cinema halls now have an option of whether or not they want to play the national anthem before the movies actually played. But in spite that, the Supreme Court has made sure that they've informed the central government that the central government needs to come up with guidelines, because there needs to be a law in place on exactly how the national anthem should be played and sung throughout the country. And it is in that respect that the government has gone ahead and given the Supreme Court a clarification clearly stating that within 6 months the guidelines will be framed by the central government of India with regard to the affidavit that was filed yesterday, the copy of which was brought to you by Republic. In addition to that, the Supreme Court has also allowed the petitioner in this particular case to actually make a representation before this interministerial committee, taking into account that the petitioner was opposing the government stand as well as the modification of the 2016 order. It is for that reason that he has now been allowed to make a representation in this interministerial committee, going to put forward his point of view, his stand on the entire national anthem controversy, and in accordance with that,